Hello, we've been looking at imagining what a God-formed or God-shaped community looks like and reading through those 5 little letters of Paul. And now we're going to move on to reading through the Gospel of John. We want to fall in love with Jesus by reading the Gospel of John. We really want to be a community that can worship Him in spirit and in truth, that can get to know Him. And one of the wonders of the Gospel of John is because it's a little mysterious, we get to know Jesus in a much deeper way. We see these interactions with different people like Nicodemus and the woman at the well and Peter when Jesus is washing the disciples' feet. And we see how He interacts and encounters them. Nicodemus speaks, Jesus speaks, Nicodemus speaks, Jesus speaks. The woman at the well speaks, Jesus speaks. He asks a question, she answers, she asks a question, he answers. You get these incredibly wonderful encounters. And John is so rich in story, and so what we want to do when we preach is to preach the stories and then look for the depth of what we can find Jesus is saying and doing. So we can really get to know this Son of God, this Son of Man, this one who is fully God, fully man, that is unknowable, and yet we can know Him in a greater and a richer way. And so as we read through the Gospel of John and preach through the Gospel of John, that's really our prayer as leaders in the church, that we will get to love Him and know Him so that we too can be filled with the Holy Spirit, as those disciples were when Jesus breathed on them in John chapter 20. And He sent them out on mission. He sent them out. He said, as the Father sends me, so I'm sending you. And that's what we want to happen. We want to see that we get to know Him, get empowered by His Spirit, and get to do the things that He called us to do. So reading through the Gospel of John is going to be a great and wonderful adventure for us as a church, and we're going to do that in the next while. We're going to read a chapter every day, and then also I'd love us to be able to read this little book of Philip Yancey's at the same time, The Jesus I Never Knew. A wonderful little book, giving some background, giving some stories of Jesus, and helping us to understand and to get to love Jesus. And we will just fill you in as we go. In the end of this book, Philip Yancey quotes Jürgen Moltmann, and he says, God weeps with us so that we may someday laugh with Him. I love it. God weeps with us so that we may someday laugh with Him. God sent His Son, for He loved the world, and His Son suffered on the cross. But Jesus went to the cross so that we could have the victory, that we could be part of the family. And God weeps with us so that we may someday laugh with Him. And then Philip Yancey tells a story here of a woman that he knows who lives in Louisiana, whose grandmother is buried in this cemetery. 150-year-old oaks are in oak trees in the cemetery, and what she had written on her tombstone was just this one word, at her request, one word: waiting. And I'd love us to be a people who are waiting for God to do something incredible, and a people who are laughing because we know this God who does the incredible. I want us, as we saturate ourselves in the Gospel of John, to be a people who are laughing and waiting, laughing at the wonder of God and who He is, waiting for the promises of God and the more that God has promised for Church of Joy. Be a people who are laughing and waiting. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And the joy of the Lord is the strength of the Lord. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And so I want us to be that kind of people. We're Church of Joy. Let us be a people who will really get to know Jesus in a deeper way as we read through the Gospel of John. It's a thrill, it's an adventure. I'm so looking forward to it. Won't you join us as we do this for the next couple of weeks? God bless you.